spot. No changes. Trevor Lawrence to the Jags.
Yeah, Trevor Lawrence, I mean, if you're doing anything other than this, you're just looking for attention. Trevor Lawrence is big. He's got generational traits, and he's a guy you build around in the future for the long term. So I wouldn't even pick up a phone. You don't even want to be tempted if you're the Jacksonville Jaguars.
Yeah, absolutely. This is a no-brainer. The Jaguars have never had an elite franchise quarterback. This gives them an opportunity to build a franchise around a guy who has generational talent.
I wish we could just make this official now, but no, we must wait. On to the Jets, where last week Bucky had them taking offensive tackle Penei Sewell, but Lance is in the quarterback camp for New York at 2.
Yeah, and I just think Zach Wilson's pro day is going to I thought it was okay. I didn't go as crazy over it as some others did, but I think it's good enough for him to lock in with the Jets there at the number 2 pick. Look, he's got a ton of talent. I just want to see how he performs against a much tougher schedule than he obviously played against in 2020, but the guy clearly showed huge improvements this year.
Yeah, he did show huge improvements, right? The level of competition is a concern, but the talent is there. Hopefully in that system in New York, you get a chance to see him really maximize everything that he's flashed during his time at BYU.
Zach Wilson wasn't the only one moving around during BYU's pro day. The draft order also got a workout. The Niners trading up 9 spots to 3, and Lance has them taking Lance.
Trey Lance. I mean, look, I don't know if it's going to be Trey Lance or not. This is something we can get into. I want to talk about Trey Lance, though, because I think he's the right fit for San Francisco. This is who the pick should be. If you're going to move up and give up that much draft capital for a quarterback, it better be a playmaker and not a snap taker. And I think Trey Lance has playmaking potential. He's big, he's athletic, he's mobile, he can play under center, he can play out of the gun, he can run the RPO stuff for you. There's really not a lot he can't do. It's just that he doesn't have the big game experience and he doesn't have a lot of game experience. But I think he's the perfect fit, Bucky, for Shanahan's offense. And I think it allows him to get everything out of the Mike Shanahan / Kyle Shanahan style of offense. That's why I think he would be the perfect spot here at number 3. I don't know if that's how it's going to go down, though.
Yeah, I wonder about that, Lance, because when you think about the Shanahan system, everyone wants to point to Kirk Cousins and what Kyle Shanahan did with Matt Shaw. But if you go back and look at who the Super Bowls have been won within that system, John Elway and Steve Young. And when I look at Trey Lance, he certainly has that athleticism that you look for. Big-time talent, physical, does a great job of putting the ball in the paint as a runner, but also gets it done as a thrower, under center, and from the gun. I think Kyle Shanahan would have a lot of fun building an offense around Trey Lance's talents.
So, Lance, in this scenario, how do things shake out for Jimmy G? Does he start this year? Is he still a Niner?
Well, under my scenario with Trey Lance, he absolutely starts, and I think he would be a San Francisco 49er. I think they would stick to a very disciplined plan of playing the veteran who understands the offense, a guy they got to the Super Bowl with, and you let Trey Lance learn under Jimmy Garoppolo. If, however, it ends up being a guy like Mac Jones, well, that changes things because I think Mac Jones might be more ready to play in an offense, and I think that's why you potentially listen to offers for Jimmy Garoppolo if it is Mac Jones. So I think you may handle Jimmy Garoppolo a little differently depending on who their quarterback choice is.
Yeah, I think this could be a situation that's very similar to what happened in Kansas City. Alex Smith continued to play at a high level before they handed it off to Patrick Mahomes. I think Kyle Shanahan is well aware of that. I think they would like to follow that blueprint.
Jimmy G can't be happy, and maybe he'll get a little bit of the Aaron Rodgers effect from all of this. We'll see. Let's hit Kyle Shanahan's old spot, though, the Falcons, where Lance has a corner, not a quarterback going.
Yeah, you know, I just have to tell you, Pat Surtain to me is a special player. And that's a team that had 34 touchdowns given up, only 12 interceptions, only 5 of them were by cornerbacks. They got to get better on the back end. And this guy's the best corner in the draft.
He absolutely is the best corner in the draft. I love his toolbox. He does a great job of playing man and zone from utilizing a variety of different techniques. You got to take him if he's there for the Atlanta Falcons.
New defensive coordinator Dean Peay should be very pleased with that. As we reveal Lance's next 4 picks, showing you the top 8 selections. Back-to-back receivers going 6 and 7 to the Dolphins and Lions after the Bengals address their O-line. But let's pause at the Panthers pick, a name shooting up mock drafts, Mac Jones. All the kids are calling him Big Mac, Lance. You know it. So why do you like him as the Panthers pick?
Well, okay, so look, Joe Brady had Joe Burrow before. I think when you look at Joe Burrow and you look at Mac Jones, you can find some similarities there. But I think ultimately Joe Burrow is definitely the better player when you really get into the tape. I do think Mac Jones needs talent around him to really perform at a high level. I don't think he's going to be a guy who elevates players around him. That would be my concern, obviously. But I think what the Panthers see in him and what Joe Brady, the offense coordinator, sees in him is a player that they can win with quickly because he is a very sharp, heady guy who can play inside the framework of their offense and let the offense do a lot of the heavy lifting and the design of the passing game, do a lot of heavy lifting for Mac Jones.
Yeah, here's the thing. The Carolina Panthers, I think, had an opportunity to coach Mac Jones at the Senior Bowl. So they got a chance to really get around him, understand how he processes the playbook, how he performs. And so this could be a pick. Their owner, David Tepper, is adamant about finding a franchise quarterback. Maybe in some, I won't say strange world, but maybe in Panther land, they view him as a franchise quarterback and they can surround him with the weapons he needs to be very, very successful in this league.
Okay, so time out for a second because there's a lot swirling around Mac Jones to the Niners at 3. Shanahan and John Lynch were at his pro day today. So where are you on that combo, Lance?
Well, look, I think Kyle Shanahan, I keep saying Mike, I think Kyle Shanahan's offense can work anywhere with most any quarterbacks. I think he knows exactly what he needs in a quarterback, and that's how strongly I think about his offense. I think he's really great at what he does in terms of getting the most out of quarterbacks. So I think Mac Jones could be very successful in that kind of offense. But you don't trade 3 first-round picks for Kirk Cousins. So anytime Kirk Cousins' name is mentioned, I'm like, what? Who's trading that much for Kirk Cousins? And I cover the Houston Texans. I live in Houston. I saw what happens when an offensive-minded coach gets a hold of personnel decisions. They can swing for the fences with some very aggressive moves that can set you back if you miss. And so I do have a little bit of a concern, Bucky, on this one about is that what Kyle Shanahan's doing here if it's Mac Jones?
Yeah, I got tremendous concerns if Kyle Shanahan says that Mac Jones is the transcendent player that you got to take in the top 5, that you have to trade away to get. I understand he's had success being able to get it done with the likes of Matt Ryan and Kirk Cousins and others. But here's the thing. We just saw in this division, Sean McVay traded away Jared Goff because he felt like he hit the ceiling. We're seeing his own frustration with Jimmy Garoppolo because he can't get over the hump with those guys. I would contend that both of those players are more talented than Mac Jones. So if he traded up to kind of run it back with a similar type player, to me, it doesn't make sense. You make this move because you want a Pat Mahomes type and Aaron Rodgers type. I don't believe Mac Jones is that type of player.
Starting with the next quarterback, and Drew Lock, I'm sorry. Lance has Justin Fields heading to the Broncos with that 9th pick.
Well, I think where there's smoke, there's fire. There's been a lot of discussion about Denver potentially being interested in another quarterback. And look, I mean, Justin Fields is a guy who has played in a lot of high leverage games. I really love the game that he played against Clemson because not only did he step up after, coming off of some down performances in the season, but he also played extremely well in the first half, got injured, came back, played injured, and played well. I thought he showed a lot of football moxie and toughness there. And that's one of the reasons why I kind of like Justin Fields in this spot. We saw the Arizona Cardinals get away from Josh Rosen very, very quickly because they just felt like he wasn't the guy. And if Denver doesn't think Drew Lock is the guy, then why not go with the quarterback that you do think is a guy? And if that's what they feel like, feel about Justin Fields, I don't think they'll hesitate to pull the trigger at number 9 with Fields if he's there.
No, I think it would be smart for the Denver Broncos to make this pick if Justin Fields is there. Not only is his talent worthy of being a top 10 pick, I believe he's a special player. Moreover, it does enable the Denver Broncos to reset the clock with the rookie quarterback. That enables them to re-sign their stars. It also allows them to build a more competitive team around the quarterback. And because the quarterback room is not very expensive when it comes to Drew Lock's salary and Justin Fields' salary, I think this creates the kind of competition that will ultimately allow them to have the best quarterback going forward. Either Drew Lock steps up or Justin Fields becomes the QB1. I like this pick.
So let's talk about that competition then, Lance. Who would you rather, before seeing them on the field in that competition, Lock or Fields?
Well, I'd go off of what I saw on tape when both guys came out. I mean, I had a second-round grad on Locke. I mean, Locke has a ton of talent and a ton of ability, but I'm seeing some of the same things in the pros I saw in college. And I just think Fields is better prepared to be a more consistent performer on Sunday, game in and game out. And that's what it's about in the NFL. Give me consistency.
Yeah, you talk about a consistent player. I believe Fields is a much better player coming out of college than Drew Lock was. And even though Drew Lock has shown promise at times during his 2 years at Denver, I think you're getting an upgrade at the position with Justin Fields. He's talented, tremendous arm talent. He's athletic. He gives you a lot more at the position. I think you have to take Fields over Lock in a competition.
One of these years, Denver will find a quarterback. I believe it's going to happen. Let's move on to the 10th pick here. And Lance, you have the Cowboys investing in the offensive line.
Well, I think it's smart. And when you go back to the Cowboys, you know, their growth happened when they drafted Zach Martin. We thought they might go Johnny Manziel, but they made the right move and went Zach Martin. This is the right move. This is getting a player who has tackle and guard potential. I thought he had some great tape 2 years ago in 19. You see him here at left tackle against Chase Young. He's got tackle, guard, and center ability. And to me, Rashawn Slater really improved from 18 to 19. I love this pick for the Cowboys.
Yeah, I love the pick. I believe they need to take a look at the offensive line. They've had issues with injuries up front, La'el Collins, Tyron Smith. You get a guy like Rashawn Slater who has the ability to go inside a guard or play tackle. It solidifies the most important piece of their offensive puzzle because now you have Dak Prescott and the skill weapons on the outside, and you have that big offensive line to mash.
And when I think of the Cowboys, I already think of Slater. So Jane gets to cover a fellow Slater. It's almost too perfect. How about at 11, the Giants, Lance? Kyle Pitts teaming up with Daniel Jones.
I mean, every single rep is going to be an unbelievable highlight film here with Kyle Pitts. He's big, he's fast, he's explosive. You can't guard him with a little corner. What are you doing? And guess what? If you put a linebacker on him, he's too fast. Bucky, this is the ultimate weapon in the 2021 draft.
I mean, he is the ultimate weapon in the 2021 draft. I just wonder about the Giants. Didn't you take that weapon when you got Evan Ingram? So now you have two guys who are flex tight ends who aren't really blockers. I don't know. I know you're trying to upgrade the weapons around Daniel Jones to see if he's legitimately the guy. To me, it seems a little redundant getting another jumbo wide receiver at the tight end position.
Yeah, not to mention Kyle Rudolph is there as well. But let's skip it down to 15, Lance. The Pats inject some much-needed speed into that defense with Micah Parsons.
Micah Parsons is a phenomenal athlete. You know, there's some character concerns that could knock him down the board, but if he falls to 15 and I've got him rated higher, I'm going to tell you what now, big, fast, physical. He's what the Patriots love, only a better athlete than they typically have in the middle. I think the Patriots room could handle him as well. This would be a steal at 15.
If he falls to 15, he is absolutely a steal. And you talk about the Patriots trying to bring back the dynasty. They can bring back the dynasty with Micah Parsons in the middle. This is a tremendously talented player who does a great job of not only rushing the passer, but making plays sideline to sideline. You put him in that defense, look out in New England.
So the linebacker there lands in New England as we make our way past Patriot Way. Hold up, let's U-turn because we're going back to 12, a pick now held by the Eagles via the Dolphins and the Niners. I've heard a lot of requests for a wide receiver, Lance, and you've done it again, my friend. You delivered another Jalen for the Birds, a Jalen reunion.
Well, I knew you would roll us back to the Eagles, your Eagles squad. Look at the blouse. I mean, this has Eagles written all over it today. And you know what? If they're able to get their hands on Jalen Waddle, run that card to the podium, or however they're going to do it virtually this year. We'll see how that happens. But I just know this much. Waddle is played right now with Jalen Hurts. He's played in the background with Jalen Hurts a couple years ago. He's got 3-level ability on the catch and run ability, the ability to take the ball deep, and of course the ability to win contested catches on the second level. I think he's the type of player that can make Jalen Hurts more comfortable because he can get so wide open on so many different levels of the field.
Oh, he absolutely has the juice. And you now have two fast players on the perimeter. You talk about Jalen Waddle and then Jalen Reagor. I know people are down on Jalen Reagor, but give him another year. If you have two dynamic playmakers on the outside with Jalen Hurts pulling the trigger, this might give the Eagles offense an opportunity to put more points on the board.
You know, it's been a minute since Philly really crushed a wide receiver pick, maybe a decade. Are there any concerns, though, Lance, about his ankle?
Well, I think they're going to take a look at it. Ultimately, I think based on the injury and what it was, I don't think there's going to be. But of course, the medicals, they can look into that if they want to with the medicals. And if it is a concern, they can pass because the Eagles have a lot of different needs. But if he's there, I don't think that ankle issue is going to be a concern. I mean, the guy came back for a national championship game. That's what kind of baller we're talking about here.
All right, so the Eagles, they move outside the top 10. They're very quiet in free agency. They trade away Carson Wentz, but they get a wide receiver. The rebuild, it is on in Philadelphia. Back to Lance's latest Mock 3.0 on Mock Draft Live. And Lance, the Raiders going with a defensive tackle out of Alabama here.
Yeah, by far and away the best defensive tackle in this draft. He can rush from the interior, which is very, very valuable. He's very stout against the run. With all due respect to Quentin Jefferson and Solomon Thomas, who've been added to go along with Maurice Hurst, this guy's just better than they are. And I feel like he would really help a huge weakness right now with the Raiders, which is up the middle.
Look, he's a dominant player at times. The only issue I have with Barmore is he has a hot and cold motor. He doesn't play fast and physical and aggressive at all times. Takes too many plays off, but when he's revved up and ready to go, he could be a dominant player. I'm just curious to see which guy shows up in Las Vegas.
That Vegas pass rush needs all the support they can get. Let's keep it on the D-line for Miami's pick at 18. Popping over, though, for an edge rusher after they grabbed a wide receiver earlier.
Well, I bet you Bucky doesn't say anything about Kwity Paye's motor, because Kwity Paye is all day, every day. He's big, he's physical, he's strong, he's explosive. The only problem is the instincts aren't always great. Now, you know, that's the one thing that concerns me. But when you look at the traits, those are the traits that Brian Flores is really going to cover.
He absolutely is going to cover those traits because he is big, fast, and physical, plays hard. The only issue that I have with Kwity Paye is, despite all those superhuman talents, he doesn't have a lot of activity and a lot of production. Can that translate at the next level? Can they finally unlock the potential so he can be more productive?
Tell me a little bit more here about that pick at 23 out of Georgia, Azeez Ojulari.
Yeah, this is a long-armed edge defender. I think when you watched him on tape, he's got good get-off. You can see the twitch. You can see the play strength. It's just that he's not a real skilled rusher yet. And every pass rusher in this draft, they have some flaws. And the question is, who's going to get them coached up? But I really feel like Azeez Ojulari has things that can be coached up. He has issues from a pass rushing standpoint that can be coached. You saw him use his hands right there. He can bend and flatten to the quarterback. And I think the main thing is his demeanor and his play strength as a rusher, something, Bucky, that really translates. Give me a big, strong, physical guy with some dog in him. And that kind of player usually makes it in the league, even if he has some weaknesses here or there from a technical standpoint.
You talk about one of the more polarizing prospects on the board. This is a guy that is a little bit of a one-trick pony off the edge, but that trick is phenomenal when it's working. His dip and rip move, his ability to turn the corner really stands out on tape. It's a matter of, can he add other pitches to the repertoire, or is he going to be Mariano Rivera that can just beat people with the cutter?
Okay, I got live as we fly through Lance Zierlein's latest mock, and a wide receiver comes off the board for the Ravens and Lamar Jackson. Lance, is he going to be happy about this?
Yeah, I think so. Big, fast, and talented, and that's what Terrace Marshall is. I think there's some ups and downs in his game, but he looked a little bored last year, and you can expect that after that national championship season the year before. But I think he really gives something Lamar Jackson, a player he needs, which is a big target who also has the ability to stretch a defense.
Yeah, they certainly need a big target on the outside. They have a bunch of mighty mice on the outside, someone big to certainly expand the strike zone for Lamar Jackson.
Baltimore